Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to lesson 4a for our classical Arabic for the Holy Qur'an course. This lesson will be looking at the dual, detached pronouns, and a new phrase, the idafa phrase. So the dual in Arabic, what we call tathniyah, is when we have two objects. So I've already looked at when we have one, that's called mufrad. We looked at 3 plus, which is jam'. But Arabic has this extra category when we have exactly two. We call the dual, or muthanna. We're also going to look at detached pronouns and a new phrase, al-murakkabul idafi, or the idafa phrase, possessive phrase. So the dual noun refers to two objects, people, or things. They are identified by looking at the word ending. So when it came to the plurals, there were some different patterns that we could take for the sound plurals. But also we had broken plurals which kind of changed their vowel structure. But in regards to the dual, we simply look at the case, not the case ending, we look at the letters at the end of the word, and that determines whether it's in the dual form. So a single noun simply takes one of these two case endings to become dual, ani or aini. The grammatical state of the noun determines which ending is taken, so this will be covered a bit later. So it can be either ani or aini, and which one it takes depends on the grammatical role of that word in the sentence. So if we were to make these words into the dual, we'll do a few examples. So if we have as-saghiru, we simply write the word in the dual. So this is singular, as-saghiru. We would make it as-saghirani. Kibarun. Now we wouldn't change this word in particular because this is actually in the plural form. This is why it's important to memorize your singular nouns together with their plural so you can recognize them straight away, particularly the words that take the broken plural form. So kibarun is actually the plural of kabirun. And once we've brought it back to the singular form, we can simply add that ending to make it kabirani. So these two words, kabirun and as-saghiru, they're used as sifa or adjectives, which means that these words will simply be matching themselves to the noun that it's describing. So if the noun being described is in the plural form, we'd use kibarun. If it was in the singular form, kabirun would have been used. If it was a dual noun, to describe it, we'd use kabirani. Or there's also the other ending it takes, aini. That depends on the grammatical role of that word. So I'm not doing the aini endings here, I'm doing the ani endings, but same thing, you would just add the aini ending, kabiraini. Rashiduna. Now again, this is, we should recognize straight away that that's a sound plural. So the singular is Rashidun. And then we can convert that to the dual, Rashidani. Rashidani. if we look at this example here, al-fasiqu, so this is one corrupt person, singular. We can make, and it's already in the singular, so we don't have to change anything else. We can make it al-fasiqani, which means, so this is one corrupt person, this is now two corrupt persons. Al-fuqara, this is the plural of al-faqiru, which means a poor person. So again, we just add the ani, or in some cases, aini ending to make it into the dual. So you can try these other examples yourself, see how you go. Now the ism ishara actually has dual forms as well. So if you look in this side here, on the left, we're thinking about hadha here, or hadhi here. So these are for the singulars, the mufrad, when we're using to refer to a singular word. When we're referring to a dual word or two objects, we use these examples, these ism isharas here. So for masculine, hadhani, or depending on the grammar, the grammatical state that the words are in, hadaini. You can see again that ending ani, aini. Or for feminine, hatani, hataini. Now here, this side we have what we're talking about is dhalika or tilka. So we have dhanika or dhainika, tanika or tainika. And here the plural is ulaika, and here it's haulai. So these are all the ism isharas you'd have to memorize together with ulaika and haulai. And you'd have the singular, the duals, and the plurals. So if you look at this verse here from the Qur'an, just focusing on this part here, هذان لساحران. So if we just ignore this lam for now, because there's another function of this lam here, we have sahirani. So this word here, this is a dual form word. We should recognize straight away from the ani. This is actually the dual of sahir. So sahirun means a magician. Now this is one mufrad in the singular mufrad form. However, here in this verse, Allah Ta'ala is referring to two magicians, sahirani. So all we did was take the singular, this one here, and just add the ani ending to make it into two magicians. Now also, because we have an ism ishara referring to a dual form noun, we can't use hadha or haulai. We need to refer to it in the dual ism ishara, so hadhani, just so we can match the duals with each other, or the muthanna words with each other. Another example here. So we have an ism ishara here, dhanika, and a noun here, burhanani. So this word in the mufrad or singular is burhanun, which means a proof or evidence, and it's in the mufrad form, the singular form. Now because Allah Ta'ala is referring to two proofs, it's in the muthanna or dual form, which means the ani ending has been added. And because there's an ism ishara referring to it, instead of dhalika, we use dhanika. the dual form. If you remember, sentences had to match in certain things like gender, but in this case, the plurality or number needs to also match. So if they're both mufrad or singular, they both need to be in the mufrad forms. If they're both plural or jam' forms, they need to match. If they're in dual, they need to also match. Now moving on to pronouns. Arabic has two types of pronouns. Dhamir or dhama'ir, this is the singular, so one dhamir or one pronoun, and dhama'ir is the plural. If we said dhamirani, we would be talking about two. So there are attached pronouns or dhamir muttasil or detached pronouns, dhamir munfasil. Now we looked at some pronouns like huwa or hiya. We also looked at hum and hunna. Now we should be quite familiar with the conjugations of these, whether they're masculine, singular, or feminine, plural, etc. Now these are detached because they don't attach to any specific word. So we give an example of huwa rajulun. He is a man. Hiya bintun. She is a girl. So if you look at the pronouns, they're matching each other with their gender, but also their plurality. This is singular, huwa, and rajulun is singular. Hiya is singular, bintun is singular. So pronouns, when they're detached, they need to, so we're talking specifically about the dhamir munfasil here, they need to match each other. Now, these are the conjugations for the other pronouns, which we need to memorize. This is a table, and whenever you see tables like this, we'll see it a lot when we look at morphology, sarf. We need to memorize these back to front and be very comfortable with them. So we already looked at huwa. That's a singular masculine pronoun. We looked at hiya, singular feminine. We looked at hum and hunna, the plural masculine and feminine. But there's also the dual, so huma, which is actually both the same for masculine and feminine. So for referring to a singular masculine word, we use huwa. Singular feminine, we use feminine. For plural masculine, we use hum, and plural feminine, we'd use hunna, and also the duals here. We also have, for the third person, we have the second person as well. So this would be him, her, and them, but masculine, and them, feminine. And also them, but dual, so two. Then we have second person, so anta, you, or anti, you, but feminine. So what we have to do is memorize these as huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. So anta was you, antuma is you, but two, the dual. And plural antum would be you, but plural masculine. So if you have a group of males that you're talking to, for example, anti, antuma, antunna, so you, a group, but female. Ana would be I, and if you notice this for both masculine and feminine, and nahnu is we, again masculine and feminine, and this one doesn't matter about the dual plural, nahnu is still used. So memorize these pronouns in their order very well. Huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. And as you're memorizing, keep in mind when you go from the third person to the second person to the first person, and you're going up from singular, dual to plural, and from masculine to feminine, masculine to feminine. So here's an example. هو صالح. He is sincere. So صالح is a singular masculine word, so huwa is used. If we had huma, we'd say صالحان. So we'd say they are, or they, talking about two males, are sincere, صالحان. Hum, now we should know that's the conjugation for plural, masculine third person, hum. So we'd say صالحون. Because the plurality needs to match as well as the gender. So we're using صالحون, the sound masculine plural. Because صالح takes the sound plural form. Here, so this is for she. So we'd say صالحة. Because we use the singular feminine form of the word. صالحان for here. And here we'd use صالحات. Because hunna is in the plural. And for anta, we still use the same thing. صالحون, and ti, we still use صالحة, because it's the gender that we're just matching. So try this exercise where you fill in the rest. The next slide actually has another example of huwa صغير. Try yourself to fill in these gaps here, making sure that you're conjugating the word صغير correctly to the pronoun that you're referring to, the ضمير منفصل or detached pronoun.